about 5 minutes beforehand. I'll edit what needs to be edited out. But Mercer is a great school. And so, many of you know that Miss Carr actually has one of her degrees from there. And so, she loves it. She's totally a bear. Alfred Troy, who some of you know, is alumni of there and went there and loved his experience. So for those of y'all that are considering staying in state, it's definitely a school that we wanted to make sure y'all had some exposure to.
Well, that was very well said.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah.
They're both. That's my coworker, Kenny Stahl, and I've been emailing him. My name's Tiet Nguyen. So we're just waiting for a few more students to come on in.
Sure. I'm in no rush at all. We're all good.
So how are you doing, Mr. Walker?
I'm doing very good. As good as my go-to is I'm doing about as good as I expect anybody could be doing.
Hey, you're doing pandemic good. I respect it.
Pandemic good, absolutely. I feel very fortunate. I'm doing all right. Y'all been doing okay?
Yeah. Been holding up pretty well, man. Been holding up pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say, personally, me and my family, we're going real strong. No issues whatsoever, and have all managed to stay safe and healthy. And then professionally here at Mercer, we seem to be doing really good. We came back to completely in person. Not a whole lot of online students. The vast majority are here on campus, have been since the beginning of fall semester, and things have been going really well. I think we've been really well situated, being that we're a smaller, university. Our student body is relatively small, maybe in comparison to some other institutions, and having a medical school certainly helps, right? Having faculty and professional staff within a school of medicine that we can kind of lean on for best practices and protocols and that kind of thing has certainly been a big advantage for us.
Absolutely. Sounds that way. So there you go, guys. If you do end up going to Mercer, you got access to some medical care.
Yeah, we have on-site testing here on campus at 2 or 3 different locations. Test results are processed within 24 to 48 hours. So we staying on top of it for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you have to drive?
Oh, I don't know if that was a question or not. I think it was an accident, maybe.
I got two little boys of my own, so I'm glad I'm back in office and not having to do all these from home. Because
oh my goodness, look,
not without trials and tribulations.
Look, this is my yard right now, so I understand. right now.
Yep.
That is current. Right now. Yes. Yeah. So let me just say, and I think we're just about, it's just about at 3:30, and we want to make sure we're being respectful of your time. Let me say to all of my West Clayton kids that are on, you guys, I'm sorry, Shani, thank you for reminding me, but West Clayton, y'all can go ahead and do y'all digital sign in. I'm sorry that I didn't have it up. I mean, it'll be up for a couple of hours, even after Mr. Williams is done talking. Mr. Walker is done talking. So no rush, but it is up now. So if you want to go ahead online and sign in so you get credit for being on the call today, you can do that.
And for Clayton County students, if you can do the survey at the end that I'm going to send out, that would be
Everybody got
your
the survey.
attendance. Yeah, everyone has to do the survey, and it's another way for us to take attendance. But that'll be the way that I'll take attendance for today. So if you don't do it, I'm not gonna pay attention. So please do the survey at the end of the presentation after the Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah, so we
Has
are.
it been sent out?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Has the survey been sent out yet?
No. It'll come out
Okay.
after Mr. Walker is talking. You can't do the survey now. You haven't even heard anything.
No, I'm just saying, like, if it's because I don't see it.
No, we're just joking. And so without further ado, like I said, we want to make sure that we are respecting Mr. Walker's time. Thank you all for being on time. Oh, I see Miss Carr did log on. Miss Carr, I gave you a shout out a second ago and said you were our Mercer alumnus. And so I know Mr. Walker's about to take it away, but I did tell the kids, like, Mercer's a great school, and if they have questions, even after Mr. Walker is gone, they can always reach out to you.
Yes, for sure. Woo, be the bear. Hi, Mr. Walker. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm not going to steal the show, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I don't know if Miss T, I don't know if you had a couple of words you wanted to share, but Mr. Walker, it is your show. I'm sure we're going to have some more kids joining, but Mr. Walker, it is your show.
Cool. Awesome. Let me just say thank y'all all so much for taking the time to help put this together and for being here to let me share a little bit about Mercer. My name is Bo Walker. I have the good fortune of being almost a lifelong Macon resident. So I'm born and raised here in Macon. I came to Mercer. I met my wife here at Mercer. Her father was a professor. Now I work for Mercer. I'm just about as rooted probably in Mercer as you're likely to find anyone. And so it's always a joy for me to get to share a little bit about the institution that's been so good to me over the years and hopefully could potentially be good to you. What I'm going to do now, I will share my screen because I do have, if you can let me share screen, I've got some slides I'll throw up.
I just made that access available. I'm sorry for not having it done in the beginning.
No worries. No harm, no foul, Kenneth. Cool. So there we go. Does that work? Y'all can see my Mercer University slide there. All right. Excellent. So what I'll do is I'll kind of share with y'all our presentation on Mercer University, give y'all an opportunity to ask any questions. I know I had tried best to line up some students to have here with me for this panel so that you could ask them questions. However, I was not able to get anyone lined up with everything going on, but I can handle a number of questions as a former student and someone who works, of course, very closely with student staff. I should be able to handle most campus life questions, but I do have a couple of opportunities to touch base with students after the fact if you would like to reach out and connect with current students. But without further ado, let me tell y'all a little bit about Mercer. So Mercer University, there we go. We were founded in 1833 in a little town called Penfield, Georgia, which not a lot of people are super familiar with, but no harm, no foul. We weren't there for very long. In 1871, we moved to our current location here in Macon, where we've been ever since, kind of growing, expanding our offerings and educating students all along the way, which is over 180 years. So you do something for 180 years. Hopefully you get pretty good at it, but it's always nice when that gets recognized by outside entities and organizations. And we've earned a number of distinctions over time. The one that I like to highlight on this list is best value, because best value to me on the surface seems a little bit vague or broad. What is the context for best value? How do you determine best value? Well, of course, it's the cost that it takes to acquire the education, the quality of the education that a student will receive while attending, and then the reputation of that institution once it is on a degree and being put into practical use out in the real world. So kind of a la Voltron, Captain Planet, Devastator from the Transformers, pick your poison, but when those three powers combine, Mercer is among the best valued institutions in the nation. The other one I like to mention, however, briefly is best undergraduate teaching, because they recently reevaluated that list and we were once again named to it. We were placed at number 34 out of all the institutions in the nation, tied dead even with Harvard University. So not too shabby on our undergraduate teaching either. I mentioned we've grown and expanded, so we now encompass 12 schools and colleges. 6 of these roughly are going to be undergraduate programs, whereas 6 of these are going to be secondary programs, things like law school, medical school, pharmacy school, theology school, for those interested in religious studies. So, you know, and then we also have some of these that pull double duty, right? So we've got our School of Engineering that houses both an undergraduate program and a master's program. So there's some of them that kind of cater to both sides of that higher education process. To give you an idea about the size and scope of our student body, for our undergraduate student body, which is all here in Macon. So I work a lot with students in the Atlanta area, and I all the time get students that are like, well, how do I apply to the campus that's right down the road from me? And for better or worse, you're going to need to spend a couple of years here in Macon before you can apply to our Atlanta campus. So all of our undergraduate offerings are here in Macon, and our student body size here is around 3,400 students, give or take. If you took all 12 schools and colleges into consideration, that number would be just shy of 9,000. So here in Macon, we're a very tight-knit community of students, faculty and staff as well, but we're also one that is very much a part of a much larger Mercer University family that extends well beyond our undergraduate offerings. To speak a little bit about the depth that we've developed to our various offerings, we do have a 4+1 program for students interested in both business or engineering. This is a way for students that come in and they know right out the gate, not only am I interested in a undergraduate degree, I'm also interested in getting a master's. And so we want to kind of streamline that process for those students. So they'll spend 4 years to get their undergrad degree and then only 1 year to earn that master's instead of the typical 2. So they graduate in 5 years with 2 degrees. It's a great way for those students to save a bit of time. We also work to save those students a little bit of money. So that business master's degree is 30% off. The engineering master's degree is 50% off. So kind of double trouble there, saving both time and money for those students. We also have special consideration programs. This is one that I like to think of very much as kind of a foot in the door or a saved seat in these next secondary programs. So it's not maybe necessarily a guaranteed entry, but it is essentially a guaranteed interview. And as long as the student's meeting with their academic advisor, hitting the prerequisites that they need, and kind of getting the work done along the way diligently, they have no problem claiming that seat that they have saved for them in that next program. The one I like to mention on this list is medicine. It is easily the most popular of all of our special consideration programs, but it's also a little bit different. So Mercer does have a medical school, Mercer School of Medicine, but they only accept Georgia residents as students. The primary reason for that is their main mission, their primary objective as a school of medicine is to give back to rural and underserved areas within the state of Georgia. So the hope is by keeping that student body to Georgia residents, that many of those students will want to stay in the state of Georgia and give back to those portions of our population that are in desperate need of greater access to healthcare professionals. So the medicine one is a little bit different, but I would imagine most of us here are probably Georgia residents. But I also like to mention that we serve both students that are interested in Mercer School of Medicine or students that are interested in other medical schools. We serve those students equally well. There's no opportunities or resources that special consideration program students have access to that students that are just pre-med and not special consideration wouldn't have access to. They have access to all the same opportunities. It's essentially just a way for students to have that medical school interview as a high school senior rather than having to wait till they're a senior in college to have that interview. We also have accelerated special consideration programs, which is exactly what it sounds like, kind of a combination of those first two. Not only is it the saved seat, foot in the door into that next program, but it's also going to help save a little bit of time. So for students maybe that are interested in pre-law, or law school, we have a 3+3 program. So they can spend 3 years wrapping up their undergraduate degree, and then the typical 3 years that it takes for them to complete law school and prepare for the bar exam. Some of our more unique offerings, we have the Center for Collaborative Journalism, which is really unlike any other journalism school in the nation. You're unlikely to find it a school for journalism like this anywhere else. It was even recognized by the New York Times as the boldest and most daring experiment in journalism education because it's hospital residency style. And so not only are the faculty within that program extremely well educated, they're also practicing active professionals within their field. So out of that Center for Collaborative Journalism, we broadcast Georgia Public Radio. Our local television station, news station is broadcast out of there, 13 WMAZ. Our local newspaper, Macon Telegraph, is published out of there. There's a number of podcasts and sports radio broadcasts that are broadcast out of there as well. And so students get FaceTime with their faculty who are also have been in the field for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They also get hands-on experience as early as the first semester of their freshman year. So a student might come in and they might say, my heart's set on radio broadcast. That's where my passions lie. It's what I want to do. That student is still, not only are they going to get hands-on experience in radio broadcast, they're going to get hands-on experience in all of those fields, in podcasting, in graphic design, digital media, print media, all of those things, so that when they graduate in 4 years, their portfolio is 4 years worth, chock full of experiences, projects, internships, all that kind of stuff, so that they'll be ready for applying to kind of whatever that next step is. We also have the McDuffie Center for Strings. This is a conservatory type program similar to Rice or Juilliard, a very, very competitive music performance program. If there's anyone in here who is a violinist and is interested in knowing more about this program, definitely reach out to me, and I would be happy to kind of put you in touch with the right people. But for students maybe that aren't looking at music performance, particularly within stringed instruments, what does this mean? What good is this program? Well, it adds a great deal of culture and opportunity for students, because all of these performances and concerts are completely free for our students. So in addition to kind of going and supporting your classmates, you get to see like really world-class performances here on campus with your fellow classmates. I have had the good fortune of attending 2 of these, and as much as violin performance can blow someone's mind, I can tell you with 100% honesty, my mind was blown. There was kind of the traditional classical violin performance, but there was also really contemporary modern pieces, noises that I did not know could come out of a violin. There they were. And so this is a tremendous opportunity for students, whether they're interested in participating in that program or just taking advantage of it being a program that we have here at Mercer. And then last, but certainly not least, is our Mercer Innovation Center. So this is for entrepreneurial-minded students, students that maybe they've come up with an idea during their time in high school, or maybe it's an idea they come up with while they're here at Mercer. But for students that maybe come up with a product or a service or a company that they want to see brought to life, the Mercer Innovation Center wants to help those students bring those ideas into reality. And so they provide office space, office supplies, access to investors to help them bring those ideas to life. Then once a year, they host the Next Big Idea Challenge, which is very similar to Shark Tank, if you've ever seen that show or familiar with that program, where students can go before a panel of faculty and staff from the Mercer Innovation Center, and then they pitch their big idea, whatever that may be. And then winners of that event are awarded several $1,000s in startup money. So a tremendous opportunity, and one that has seen a lot of really cool student-led companies kind of come out of it. In fact, I just met recently a student here on campus who started his own Leatherworks company as a sophomore. So they make like wallets and satchels and small luggage and that kind of thing. And so he'll have graduated having founded and as the president and CEO of his own company. So a really cool opportunity that's seen some really interesting stuff come out of it. And that leads us well into a research, which really is kind of one of the most important things here at Mercer University. Research is something that we believe should be accessible to every student in every discipline at every level. We're one of just a very few number of institutions that can claim prestigious membership to both of these organizations, both the Georgia Research Alliance, which is how we secure over $50 million a year in research funding, and we're a member of the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society, which is reserved for the top 10% of universities in the nation. So, like I say, a very prestigious honor to be a member of both of those. But I like to take just a very small detour when I give this presentation here, because I say Mercer puts an emphasis on research at every level and every discipline and all that. But I feel like most students' minds still go directly to STEM fields, right? That's where the research is. And to be fair, that's probably where most of the research is. There's certainly a lot of research within the STEM-related fields, but I was a creative writing major at Mercer. So how much research really is there for someone who's interested in the humanities and writing? Well, for me, it was a very profound experience. I got to go twice. I participated 2 years in a row in collaboration with the African American Heritage Coalition down in St. Simon's Island, where we went down and interviewed family members who were direct descendants from slaves on St. Simon's Island. So those families that have been there for generation after generation, they pass their family histories down orally from one generation to the next. And as older members of those families pass away, their family histories are essentially lost to time. And so we were able to go down there twice and interview these families, and recorded our interviews. Some of them were kind enough to bring family photos from home that we could, of course, scan digitally. We were able to go tour the old slave cemeteries on the former plantations and take photos and videos and see, in some cases, where these families' ancestors were actually buried. And then we brought all of that media back up to our campus here in Macon, where we spent a whole semester in the computer labs crafting a 5 to 10 minute movie about that family's history or about that family's ancestor, which we then, of course, took right back down to St. Simon's Island, where we presented those to the families in the communities there. And then the videos that we made are now preserved in the National Archives. So hopefully those families' histories and stories will be preserved forever. It was a tremendously rewarding thing that I was probably the thing I participated in here at Mercer that I'm the most proud of. My only regret is that I only got to do it twice. I really wish I had had the ability and the time to participate in that more than once or more than twice. But I think it does a good job of showing how accessible research is, regardless of what your field of study. You don't have to be engineering to participate in research. There's research of all types that we want to see our students get plugged into and participate in. But to turn our gaze right back to the STEM fields, the proof, as they say, kind of is in the pudding to a degree. We have had 12 Goldwater Scholars in the past 8 years. The Goldwater Scholarship is the most prestigious scholarship that an undergraduate student can earn in the STEM-related fields, and it is awarded based on completed research. And so when you see this award given, it's typically to a rising junior, rising senior, a student who's on the back end of their higher education. We had 3 Goldwater Scholars last year. That was more than any other institution in the nation. There were several institutions that had 2 Goldwater Scholars, but no one else had 3. Mercer was alone in that. One of our 3 was actually a rising sophomore, which is tremendous. That means as a freshman, he came in and was able to get plugged into research opportunities and complete his own research at a level of a quality that he was able to then turn around and present it to the Goldwater Committee and earn this prestigious scholarship. He was not the first freshman we've had earn this award, and I would like to say with relative confidence, with the emphasis we put on research, that he won't be the last. So really, really very, very strong opportunity. And then we've had 21 Fulbright Scholars in the past 10 years. The Fulbright Scholarship is a little bit more connected to the humanities and is awarded postgraduate. So it would be awarded after a student has graduated from their undergraduate with their undergraduate degree. And it's based largely on both research opportunities and or experiential learning opportunities. And it is awarded so that the students can use that award towards graduate studies, master's programs, or study abroad. So students have the ability to kind of use that how they want, and is another tremendous opportunity for those students who are interested and research oriented. If Research is one of our kind of core tenets, our main values. Service absolutely is the other. I like to think of research and service as the brain and the heart of Mercer University. If research is that analytic, critical thinking side of things, service absolutely is where our heart lies. It's the foundation of everything we do here on campus. And a terrific example, you'll find we're full of examples, and we absolutely love student stories. A terrific example of how prevalent service is here on campus is through Service Saturdays. So that was something that Mercer students started on their own, of their own accord. And instead of spending Saturday mornings sleeping in, goofing off, playing intramurals, whatever it may be, students find areas and places here locally in the Macon, Georgia area where they can give that time back to the community. So sometimes that might be tutoring elementary students, sometimes it might be painting homes, it could be partnering with our local homeless shelters here like Outreach and Macon Daybreak. There's a couple of them, but students have tons of opportunities and have logged hundreds and hundreds of hours giving back to our local community here in Macon. And when you combine those two, passions for research and service, you definitely get this idea of research that reaches out. And it really is all about taking the talents, the education of our students and getting it out of the classrooms, getting it out of the laboratories, getting it off of campus. And that might be locally here with Service Saturdays, trying to find areas and places where students can give back. It might be regionally, like for me, getting to travel to St. Simon's Island. It could be nationally, and it could be even global here at Mercer, because we have a very unique program called Mercer on Mission. And this is a program which I kind of think of it a little bit as like a study abroad with a service component, but it's more than that. It is an opportunity for words can be hard. It's an opportunity for students to spend 3 to 4 weeks overseas in a foreign community, earning course credit, but doing so in a way that allows them to give back to that community in some kind of way. So some examples of that would be, we've done water purification in Uganda, medical clinics in Cambodia, elementary education in Guatemala. I recently found out that the business school has one, and as a creative writer who got to participate in research, I should not have been surprised that the business school had a Mercer on Mission trip, but I was thinking medical and engineering. I was like, well, what is the business school doing? And they were quick to put me in my place and told me that the business school for a number of years has been going to Rwanda, where they work with the female survivors of genocides there to help those women become head of household and become financially independent and stable again to rebuild that infrastructure. So they've been having tremendous success with that. They've been doing it, like I say, for a number of years. But there's a slew of options, regardless of what you're interested in studying. There is a Mercer on Mission trip that you can get plugged into if that's something you're interested in. We believe in this program so much that we subsidize nearly all of it. We'll pay for the travel, we'll pay for the lodging, we'll pay for your meals. All that a student is required to pay for to participate in one of these are the course credits that they're probably going to need to pay for here on campus at some point anyways to get enough credits to earn their degree. So it's a really tremendous life-changing opportunity to be able to earn those same course credits that you were going to need in a way that's really outside the box, and will do so changing your life and the lives of the people that you encounter. I will mention, however, I'll try to keep it brief. I know I can be a little bit long-winded, but this picture in the top left corner of the young boy with the walker and the prosthetic leg, it's probably one of our most well-known Mercer on Mission trips, but it's really something special. So Vietnam has a problem with leftover landmines from the Vietnam War, and they primarily affect farmers and the more kind of agriculturally based citizens over there. Prosthetic legs are extremely expensive. They could cost $10,000, $20,000, depending on where they are above or below the knee. And so these Vietnamese farmers, of course, are not making that kind of money. They're making around $600 a year. So they can't afford prosthetic limbs. However, we have an engineering professor named Dr. Vo, who is from Vietnam. He knew about this problem, and he got together with a group of our undergraduate students and said, there's got to be something we can do. They patented and designed a prosthetic leg that's easy to fit in the field and is cost efficient. It only cost, I want to say, around $100 depending, of course, on whether it's above or below the knee. But we started having these manufactured and started going over a number of years ago, started going over to Vietnam and have now put over 14,000 Vietnamese people literally back on their feet again. So it's a tremendous program. And like I said, there's just tons of opportunity regardless of what your interest is. And I can't recommend highly enough for students that come to Mercer, try to take advantage of one of these trips at least once while you're here. Some students are lucky and able to take advantage of multiple, get to do it every summer, but try to do it at least once if you have the interest and the ability. Definitely recommended. And that's a good kind of overview, I would say, at least academically speaking, of the Mercer experience. It's graduate and professional level opportunities as early as your first year as an undergraduate. And a big part of the way we're able to facilitate this is through faculty mentors. So 90% of our faculty have a terminal degree, meaning they have the highest degree that anyone could earn in their field of study. And we don't use any teaching assistants or graduate assistants. So when a student comes to class and there's a professor's name on their syllabus, that's who those students can count on being in that classroom each and every meeting to educate that group of students. I mentioned earlier that our undergraduate population is somewhere around 3,400 students. If you were to look at that in the context of our average class size, it's around 22 students. Our student to faculty ratio is around 13:1. So students really have the ability to get to know their professors. I mentioned I got to go on 2 separate trips with my class, with 2 separate classes, and I still stay in touch with those professors to this day. We got really, really close, be it the travel, the staying, the work we were doing together. So students really have the ability to reach out to their faculty, to lean on their faculty for guidance, for opportunities, and all that kind of thing. An example of that, I knew you were all clamoring for an example. Bo, give us an example. We want another example. I've got one for you. So there is a part of campus which we call Mercer Village. So about 7 years ago, it was a parking lot, and it was a great parking lot. It served its purpose. But we had a student here named Josh Rogers who saw that parking lot, and he said, no, there's a better way we can use this space. There's something better we can do with this. And he came up with this kind of commercial infused area called Mercer Village, which blends the Macon community and the Mercer community. So we've got our bookstore, we've got the Center for Collaborative Journalism there. However, there's also a coffee shop, a pizza place, a Mexican restaurant, a local hot dog stand. There's kind of all kinds of stuff going on in there in that area that really blend those 2 communities together. And it was all his idea. He took it to his professor. The professor loved it and shared it with some other professors. They took it to the dean. The dean loved it. They helped Josh get that idea into the office of the president, where they were awarded a couple of $1 million to make this happen. And so Josh, and a tremendous success story for him, he was able to graduate as having founded and is president of his own company. He's now the president and CEO of one of our biggest revitalization companies here in Macon. And it's one that we have all benefited from as Mercer, a Mercer community and a Macon, Georgia community, all because of the access he had to his faculty and his professors, and being able to take this big idea that he had and have it nurtured and have it taken kind of up the ladder all the way to it coming to life and being something that we're all benefiting from. But not just in the classrooms, not just in foreign communities, not just in local communities. We do like to defy expectation, break a record here or there where we can on the athletics fields as well. We have 18 Division I athletics. That's 9 men's, 9 women's. If you're interested in Division I athletics, we have all of our coaches' contact information on our website. I know a number of those are in what's called either a quiet zone or a dead period, where active recruitment is kind of on a hold for now. So if that's something you're interested in, at least go ahead and reach out to them so that you can try to be on their radar when that period ends. There's typically almost always something going on with that many athletics. There's a lot of school spirit here at Mercer. You know, there's, like I say, there's almost always a game tomorrow or tonight or something. Things have been a bit quiet here lately, admittedly, with everything going on. but there's a lot to get involved in. We do have, you can see this young gentleman here with a painted on shirt and bow tie. He is a member of the Mercer Maniacs. They are our school spirit squad, and they have a big time getting everybody riled up. But if you're interested in athletics, but maybe not at a Division I level, we do have over 150 clubs and organizations, which certainly includes a very robust and active intramurals organization. There's a lot of stuff going on there. In fact, me and some of the other admissions staff are putting together a flag football team, going to be going head to head with the students. So wish us luck there. But there's a lot. So not just intramurals, both political, religious, ideological clubs and organizations, ballroom dancing, esports, career goal-oriented clubs, vegan club. There's almost a pocket community for anybody, regardless of what you're looking for. But if you came to Mercer and you couldn't find that community of people with a shared interest, all you would need would be just a couple of other students, a faculty sponsor, and you could start that club and create that community here on campus yourself. So now you've created your club, you've gone to the Division I sports games, you went on a Mercer on mission trip, you got to participate in undergraduate research, maybe you earned a prestigious scholarship. It's time to graduate. What comes next, right? As you can see, we one of the colleges that pay you back by the Princeton Review. In fact, they recently reevaluated that list, and we earned it once again for the 18th year in a row. So that's really tremendous. We have a very large alumni network. You can see from this short list of companies and organizations that we've got a lot of alumni and well-known companies and organizations, and they're actively looking to Mercer to produce competent graduates that they can then recruit into those companies. We also have the Center for Career and Professional Development. That is a resource that is available to Mercer graduates for the rest of their lives. So whether you graduated last year or 20 years ago, the Center for Career and Professional Development will help you with cover letters, resumes. They'll do mock interviews. If you've got an interview coming up that you're nervous about or you just want to make sure you're extra sharp for, they'll put together mock interviews so you can give it a trial run until you're completely confident you're going to nail it. A lot of students probably don't get to the point where they need that office as much as that office might like, because many students already have that next step planned out, through either internships, research opportunities, those kind of things, through faculty connections. Many students kind of already have whatever that next step is already mapped out before they walk across that stage. And this is to be a Mercerian. That is kind of our moniker, our nom de plume. We are Mercerians. Be the bear, together we roar. And if you're wondering kind of the process from getting wherever you might be now to there, the process on paper is easy enough. It starts with apply, right? So the timeline is kind of laid out a little bit here. The application is of course open. It opened up on August 1st for any seniors. Yeah. Common application. We have an application on our website. There is zero preference there. It's whatever you prefer. I tend to like the Common app a little bit more, just because I think it's easy for students to be able to apply to a number of schools easily, and the way they lay out the information makes a lot of sense. But Common App or our website, either one is fine. A date to remember for seniors is November 15th. I can't stress enough, if you're planning on applying or you're working on an application, try to get those materials in by November 15th for two big reasons. The first, of course, is you'll have your decision as early as possible. So for students that meet that November 15th deadline, they should have their decision those first 2 weeks of December. So that'll be our first wave of decision release, those first 2 weeks of December. But the more important reason is scholarship opportunities, right? Nothing pains me more than when I see a student apply late March who could have qualified for some scholarship opportunity that now has come and gone and they've missed it. So there's to really take advantage of the maximum number of scholarships that we have here at Mercer, the earlier you can complete and submit your application, absolutely the better. If for some reason you miss, maybe there's some critical material that you couldn't get in by November 15th, February 1st is our regular decision deadline, and that would certainly be your next best thing. There still are going to be some scholarship opportunities for you to take advantage of there. So November 15th, if at all possible, if all else fails, February 1st. We do take a holistic approach here at Mercer, which means that your admissions counselor will be the one to review your application and make that admissions decision. And we really do look at each student as an individual. Numbers are important, sure. They serve as great benchmarks. But we want to get to know who a student is. What are their passions? What are their interests? What kind of clubs, activities, athletics have they been involved in? Where have they invested their time during their high school career? Has it just been going to class and going home, or have they put time in? Have they had a part-time job? Their letters of recommendation, their personal statement, all of those things help us to really develop a full-fledged image of each student so that we can make sure Mercer's a good fit for that student, and that student is a good fit for Mercer. We don't have minimums. There's no test score minimum. There's no GPA minimum. We do a holistic approach with each student. What does the complete application look like? Well, of course, it's the application itself. That should go without saying. But it's the application, official transcripts from your high school, and then at least one letter of recommendation. We'll accept up to 3 letters of recommendation, but we do require at least one. The only request that we have there is that it not be from a parent or maybe a direct family member. We hope and pray that they would be your advocate, but when given the opportunity to hear from someone else, we absolutely would love that opportunity. And then here's where things get really exciting and interesting. We are test optional and will be for the next 3 years. So for not just for seniors, but for any high school juniors or sophomores here with us today, will be test optional for you as well. So this is something we're putting into play and into practice that will carry on for a while. And then at the end of those 3 years, we'll reassess, and maybe we'll keep it for even longer, depending on kind of how things go. I tend to think for test optional, if students are on a spectrum, right? So some students maybe have had an opportunity to acquire scores and tests. Some students maybe keep registering for a test and it keeps getting canceled. Some students maybe haven't had an opportunity and don't foresee having the opportunity. Kind of wherever you are on that spectrum, if ever you need some advice or guidance on how to best apply or what your best course of action would be, always feel free to reach out to your admissions counselor. I'm going to share in the chat when I get done. We're almost done with this, guys. Y'all are doing great. When we get done with this, I'll share in the chat the link where you can directly find who your specific admissions counselor is. That way you can reach out to them for this kind of advice in case you need any guidance. But there's no additional requirements for test optional as far as materials go. The application itself on your end will look exactly the same whether you're applying with test scores or without test scores. So there's no additional boxes to check really. There's no additional, essay questions or any of that kind of stuff. It's the same application essentially for students whether they're applying with scores or without. To give you an idea about the kind of the class profile, this is the fall 2019 class profile. So these are students who are currently attending as sophomores. So they've completed their freshman year, now they're here on campus as sophomores. The reason I make that point is because with test scoring, with testing the way it is, these are students who of course had ample time and no restrictions on their testing, and we do super scores. So for students that have multiple sets of test scores, send them all in. That way, if you've got multiple sets and you're planning on submitting them, make sure you submit them all. That way we can pull the best individual section score from each testing date and give you the best overall composite score. We also weight GPAs. So a lot of times when a transcript comes in, it'll have a pre-weighted GPA on it. We'll take that into consideration, but we'll also recalculate the student's GPA and then add our weight based on things like dual enrollment classes, honors courses, AP or IB courses, rigor courses, rigor of the school. We kind of try to take all those possible factors into account so that we can give the student, the best possible academic GPA that they could earn. Financial aid, we've got a couple of different types. All of our internal financial aid is application-based largely, so there's no additional paperwork for you guys to have to fill out. When a student receives their admissions decision, they will also receive a merit-based award. This could range between $9,500 a year up to $22,000 a year. So it's a great way for a student not just to earn their decision, but also go ahead and start building the foundation of that financial aid package. We offer talent-based awards, particularly for athletics, music, and ROTC. We have ROTC Army here at Mercer. So for any of those three things, if that's something that you're interested in knowing more about or looking into or potentially applying for, again, I would recommend reaching out to your admissions counselor so that we're making sure you're not missing any deadlines and are able to apply for those. We do have need-based awards through the FAFSA. That is the free application for federal student aid. It's probably the most important document we use when putting together a student's financial aid estimate. And then outside scholarships, I tell students that I work with, go crazy. I have yet to find an outside scholarship that we will not accept. So it really is kind of up to you, the student, to determine how much time you want to invest into looking into those outside scholarship opportunities. My two recommendations that I always make with those are, one, know what the awards can be applied towards. So a lot of times with outside scholarships, they're real particular, maybe it's only books, maybe it's only meal plan, maybe it's only tuition. You just want to know what it is you're earning. And then my other recommendation is always start local. Ask around, ask, if you're involved in any sort of organizations outside of school, religious, community-based, athletics, anything where you can talk to a leader and say, hey, is there any scholarship funding set aside for local students? Check and see. You never know. A lot of times those exist and they're never used. And so they would love to share that with you. And you can always work your way out to the big national outside scholarships. But the larger the pool of applicants, the more people you're competing with for those awards. So always recommend to start small, local, and then you can work your way out. And then we are a Purple Heart University, very military friendly. So if someone in your family has served in the military and could potentially allow you to claim these benefits, then please let us know so that we can put you in touch with our VA rep and you can take advantage of those very well-deserved and earned benefits. Scholarships, I know I've mentioned them. Well, here is a list of kind of our biggest internal scholarship opportunities. You can kind of see these first three here are field of study specific. So we've got our engineering scholarship challenge. That's kind of similar to the math portion of like the ACT or SAT test, and gives students interested in engineering the ability to potentially increase their scholarship earnings all the way up to full tuition. Our business scholarship challenge is for students interested in business, surprise, surprise. And it is an interview-based scholarship challenge with current faculty and students within our business school. We have our Media Changemaker Scholars Competition, which is through the journalism school. It is a interview-based with a portfolio review, but it is a little bit broader than just journalism. So for students that are maybe interested in graphic design or creative writing, something that might be, that might fall under that kind of umbrella of multimedia, media journalism, there's a large group of students that can kind of apply for that one as well. And then our two most prestigious scholarship opportunities are Presidential Scholars Weekend and Heritage Scholars Day. Those are both interview-based as well. And then we are a member of the Stamp Scholars Program, which is our most competitive scholarship opportunity. We award 5 of those each year, and I call that the Everything But the Kitchen Sink Scholarship. So for those high-achieving students, that is full tuition, room and board, study abroad, a free iPad, the works, the quintessential works. And at this point, as much as I'm passionate about it, I will plug the social media stuff. I know different students are active at different levels and to degrees with these, but I think these can be really beneficial resources to you guys right now with access to college events and college campuses being so limited, these can be a great way to kind of glean a little bit of extra information. I'll tell you, my favorite is the Instagram page at Mercer Now. That is our admissions Instagram page, not our Mercer University wide Instagram page. So they give a lot of tips and tricks on college applications. They'll give you tips for writing college essays. They'll give you tips for, scholarship opportunities. They give reminders for our scholarship deadlines, things like that. They also will give the login credentials to current students, so you can follow a journalism school through their day. What classes are they taking? Where are they eating lunch? Where are their study spots? The next day, it could be an engineering student. What kind of research are they doing? What labs are they working in? All that kind of thing. So a great way to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, if you will. And then, of course, good videos on our YouTube channel, and then good university-wide updates on our Mercer University Facebook page. Our website, tons of information on there. It can almost be overwhelming how much information we have on our website. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to your admissions counselor. That's exactly what we're here for. Email, text, call us, whatever your preference is. We are absolutely here and eager to assist you as much or as little as you might like or want through the process. So don't be a stranger, and let us know if there's ever anything we can assist with. And that kind of concludes the presentation portion of things. I did want to put this up real quick so you could kind of see. This is our one sheet, which I'm happy to email to you guys. So that y'all can share with the students if it would benefit anyone. But it's got kind of some of our general statistics on class size, schools and colleges, 65 plus undergraduate majors. This is our current first year admitted student profile. You can see our numbers there, our diversity kind of breakdown within our student body. Yeah, some good information there. So I'll kind of leave that up and let y'all look at that for a minute. Did anyone have any questions? I know that's a lot of information kind of just laid right on top of you, but if anyone has any questions, I am absolutely here to answer to the best of my ability, anything that you guys might be curious about.
Are freshmen able to have cars on campus?
Yes, they are. So campus life. I'll kind of cover a couple things on that. Freshmen are absolutely allowed to have cars on campus as early as the day they arrive to move in. There are no additional costs associated with that either. There's no parking permits. There's no, you don't have to pay to register your vehicle here on campus. So no cost to you to have your car on campus. And then there is ample parking because campus is, the parking lots are divided up kind of color coded. So you receive a parking decal of a certain color that typically corresponds to either your residence hall or your field of study, so that you can access the parking lots at whatever building you might be needing to access the most, right? Speaking to campus life, we do have a 3-year on-campus living requirement. So students are required to live on campus for 3 years. That said, I know a lot of students are quick to be like, 3 years on campus. That said, our campus is very, very nicely situated. Everything is right here. It's closed to through traffic. So, you could walk from one side of the campus to the other and not have to cross a busy street. You're not going to have to take a bus from one building to another. Everything is right here. You see a lot of students on bikes, on electric skateboards, on classic old school skateboards, scooters, all that kind of stuff. And so students really get used to having that access, right? So they can walk right out of their dorm room and there's their research lab, there's the university center with the gym, there's the cafeteria. Everything is kind of right there where they need it to be. And so a lot of students do end up staying on campus for all 4 years just because there's an ease of access to everything. So yeah, students also, there also is a lot of student housing that's kind of all around campus. So for those students who are eager to get off campus and be maybe a little bit more independent, there's certainly a lot of options for them as well. As far as freshman living residence halls go, I always say 2 students could come to Mercer and live on campus for all 4 years and have 2 very different living experiences. So our oldest residence hall on campus was built in 1908. Sherwood Hall, and if you want like a good old fashioned, old Southern style residence hall with the wraparound porch and the rocking chairs, got you covered. Our newest residence hall was built in the last 5 years. So if you want, you know, all of the more modern amenities and the more sleek, modern style design, we've kind of got you covered on either end of the spectrum. We have community style and suite style residence halls. So there's a lot to choose from, and students really have the ability to kind of pick where they want to be. You're not just assigned somewhere. Students kind of have a lot of option as far as where they live and what that looks like for them. That was a good question. All right,
Okay, so a couple of questions came in the chat.
Sure.
Walker, so I'll just read them out to you.
Yeah, perfect.
Next, when someone is applying, what would you say is the most important thing they should think about? So I'm guessing they mean specifically applying at Mercer.
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you, I tend to think it's kind of a two-part thing, right? So as far as application goes, as far as what to me, in my opinion, is most important applying to Mercer from an application standpoint, I tend to think sharing unique perspective in your personal statement is really important, so that we can kind of get to know you as an individual, you as a person. What makes your perspective unique? What life experiences might you have had? What from your upbringing might kind of be informing your passions and your interest in Mercer and what you want to do after Mercer. Personal statement is a big thing for me. Also, being a creative writing major, of course, that's always one of my favorite parts of the application. And also, I would say activities and club organization involvement. You know, I'll see a lot of times students will fill out an application and you'll get to their activities section and they won't have anything listed. And then I'll talk to them on the phone, and you know, through the course of conversation, I'll find out, you know, well, they've been competing in downhill skateboarding for the past 5 years, and they had a part-time job at the ice cream shop down the street from their house. And I think, well, why didn't you include any of that? And they're like, well, that wasn't a school club. That doesn't matter. Those things show discipline, commitment, maturity, responsibility, all that kind of thing. So don't be shy to share stuff on the application when it comes to activities, clubs, organizations, any sort of extra stuff that you've done with your time. Where you've invested your time can tell a lot about you. So I would say, to me, those are kind of the two unsung most important parts of the application. The other thing I would say is getting to know your counselor, reaching out to your counselor and just getting to know them, letting us get to know you so that we can be your advocate. Absolutely. There's nothing I want more than to see the students I work with succeed. That whether that be here at Mercer or elsewhere, I want to help put you up on the pedestal you deserve, right? So getting to know us so that we can, you know, if maybe you're on the cusp for some scholarship opportunity, we can go to our supervisors and be like, hey, I've been talking to this guy or this girl or this student. You know, they are here for it. Like, let's give them the opportunity. So getting to know us has a lot of value in its own kind of way, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, and it actually goes right into the next question that a student asks. So they ask specifically about counseling at the university. How are students categorized? So once they are in their colleges, is it by last name? Is it by region, like where people come from? How do they get categorized with their counselors at the school?
So we do what is, I would think, probably the most common way of doing it from college to college is by territory. So typically a counselor will work with a very specific geographical area and really try to get to know those schools, those high schools, those counselors, you know, and so that we really kind of have a strong understanding of what those students have been through during their time at that school. So for example, my territory is Fulton County. So any student that attends high school within Fulton County is going to be one of my students, and they're going to work with me whether they like it or not. I'm their guy. So Fulton County, but I also have a large out-of-state territory. So I work with 11 states on the West Coast. So California, Washington, Nevada, Oregon, Wyoming, Arizona. So I also work with a lot of out-of-state students, but certainly us being kind of a Southeastern university is where I see probably the most of my student interaction, but it's largely geographically based.
Very, very good. One of the students also wanted to know, how would you personally rate the dining halls?
So I would rate them, our dining hall, I would rate it, I don't know what the scale is. We'll say 1 to 10.
Yeah, they said 1 to 10. I'm sorry. Yeah.
1 to 10. 1 to 10. Cool, cool, cool. I would give it, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not gonna shoot any bull with you guys. I would put it probably at an 8. I think an 8 is very fair. So the way our cafeteria is set up is it is kind of buffet style, if you will. I think that's probably pretty common. But we have a big circle in the middle of the cafeteria. So all the seating is like all the way around it. And then as you walk around the cafeteria serving area, you kind of walk through different things. So there might be a taco stand, there might be a pizza station, there might be a burger station, there might be a salad bar, then there's a sub sandwich section. So there's kind of different sections all around, which I really like because you can kind of take you a loop and see kind of what they've got for the day. But there's a lot of options. There really are a ton of options. We also have a number of chain restaurants here on campus. So we've got a Chick-fil-A in our university center. We've got a Panda Express. We've got a Witch Witch and Einstein's Bagels. We have a very small scale Starbucks in our university center. We have a farmer's market that features a lot of locally sourced produce and that kind of thing that serves up meals as well. So there's a lot of options for students as far as kind of what their eating habits might look like.
Okay, the final question that I see on, so students, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or ask them yourself. The final question I see, and I might have missed it myself as well, what is the in-state tuition roughly? I don't know if we went over that or not.
Yeah, I did not really go over that. I don't know for sure what it's going to look like this year. It does, as you can imagine, it changes a little bit from year to year. Our president has guaranteed students and families that it will never increase more than 3% from one year to the next. So sometimes, sometimes there are increases in tuition from one year to the next. Due to the pandemic, we actually did not have any sort of increase this past year. But it really, would it look, to be transparent, it's different from student to student because of things like merit-based scholarships, because of how many scholarship opportunities internally a student might take advantage of, any sort of outside scholarships, need-based awards. One thing I did not cover, we do accept Hope and Zell. So they're a little bit different for us because we're a private university, but they're flat amounts rather than percentages of tuition, but we can accept Hope or Zell. So those kind of things can alter what a student comes out of pocket with. I will tell you that as admissions counselors here at Mercer, we are cross-trained in financial advising. And so a student will work with us throughout that entire process. A student will not be passed off to a financial office or have to suddenly start working with a different staff member. The students will work with us throughout the whole process. So we'll help you with all your scholarship stuff. We'll help you with all your FAFSA stuff. And then when it comes time in the spring to start actually putting that information together and going over it line by line, we're going to be your one-stop shop there as well. So we'll be able to schedule with students and families, a 30, 45-minute conversation, but we'll go in depth, what the cost is, all of the things that a student has earned and accumulated, how that offsets room and board, tuition, that kind of thing. And then we can go over kind of what the bottom line is and what, if there is anything remaining, what payment options are available. And we serve in that capacity with the students we work with as well.
Okay, so I heard you talk earlier about the students having to stay on campus for the 3 years, and I understand with a campus as large as Mercer, that might mean staying in 3 different dorms, like a different dorm each time. So one of the students asked, how does the dorm room process go? Like how early is it that they need to start requesting specific dorms and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, good question. So preference is given to students who submit their deposit earliest. So enrollment deposits are, once decisions start being released, students could make their deposit, which is this past year it was a $500 payment. 100 of it goes to summer orientation. The remaining $400 of that goes towards their first bill, you know. But for students that submit that the earliest, they have first up at housing selection. So they're the first ones that get to pick. I want to live in this residence hall. Not only can they pick their residence hall, they can pick their room. They can go into like a digital floor plan and say, you know, I want to be right by the elevator, or I want to be by the study room, or I want to be by, you know, they can pick whichever room they want. And so that process starts during the summer before students move in. So for students that are seriously considering attending Mercer, you know, I certainly would never try to pressure a student to submit that deposit, but certainly that is something to be mindful of, that the earlier you submit it, the more priority you're going to have when it comes to housing selection.
Yes, and this is why freshmen tend to get the worst dorms, right? Because you guys are waiting to kind of pay your money to reserve your space, and obviously sophomores,
Sure.
juniors, people that have been there longer, they've already kind of committed, and so they know they're coming back to housing, so they're probably making their request much earlier than you would get on. So it is important, once you know whether it's Mercer or different college, once you know that's the school you're going to, it's important to start figuring out some of those housing questions.
That said, hang on. That said, our freshman housing is just freshman housing. So you would not be competing with sophomores or juniors for those same rooms. So the dorms that we have on campus for freshmen are only for freshmen. So even if you came as a freshman and you loved your dorm, you loved it, you had the best room on the best floor, you're going to have to move out of that residence hall at the end of the first year. So there's a pro and con there, but at least they won't have to be fighting for rooms with sophomores and juniors.
Okay. Is laundry free? I'm just curious. Like a student asked, is laundry free on campus, or is it
free?
Okay. So,
Yep. I mean, you would want to supply detergent and dryer sheets or whatever, you know, any of that kind of stuff. But to run the machines, there's no quarters or no cost, you know, quarters. How old am I? It would probably be a card reader these days, right?
Absolutely. So another student asked, and this is a very interesting question, especially with you being from that area and an alumni, you know, a member of the alumni and now working there. A student asks, what is your, if you had to make one, I know it's difficult, but what is your number one complaint about your school, and why did you choose to go to school at Mercer?
Those are good. Those are great questions. So I chose Mercer. Being from Macon, I did not initially apply to Mercer. I applied to about 5 out-of-state schools that were primarily in the Midwest and on the West Coast. I felt like I was done with the Southeast and was ready to spread wings and get out of here. I was done. But for me, it was campus visitation. So once my parents started, you know, they were kind enough and had the ability to kind of take me to some of those faraway campuses. The one that was at the top of my list was University of Montana. For whatever reason, I had gotten it in my head that I wanted to be a mountain man and I wanted to go live in Montana, and I was just going to go be in the mountains and do my thing. And my parents took me out there, and it was cold. It was real cold. And I learned real quick that there was no Southern hospitality there. I was not greeted particularly well. You know, the kind of the hospitality that I had come to expect growing up in the South was completely absent. And so once I started touring those schools, I kind of entered a tailspin and was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. All these schools that I applied to, I don't want to go to them anymore. And so finally, reluctantly, I came and toured Mercer and met with a couple of faculty members here through kind of the pushing of my mom mainly. And that was when I realized, holy cow, like, okay, I was totally writing it off because it was in my backyard, but I was missing out on something really special. And so that's kind of how I ended up coming to Mercer. And Mercer just was super good for me. The number one complaints that I think I hear about Mercer, that's a tough one. I would think it's hard as a counselor to have to admit these things, but I think there is maybe some misconceptions about Macon. Macon, I think, in a lot of ways has a bad rap. I think people have certain ideas about what Macon is and what Macon isn't. Some of those are based on safety. Some of those are based on nothing to do. So I think that is probably one of the biggest obstacles that I face when talking to students and families. I don't know that it's necessarily a complaint because they're not even here yet. They don't know. They're coming from a place of preconceived ideas about what Macon is. But I would say that's one of the biggest obstacles that as a representative for Mercer I face is just a lack of understanding for what kind of the city and culture is like here in Macon.
Absolutely. So another student asked, how is safety on campus? In terms of is there a safety app? Are there call boxes? Is there, any, threat of crime on campus? Like what is safety like on campus?
Yeah, so I mean, we are a college campus, and I feel like anywhere you're going to have college campus with young adults kind of enjoying that first taste of real liberated freedom, you're always going to have some variable to a degree, but I think we have an extremely safe campus. We do have call boxes kind of peppered all over campus. Like I mentioned, we're closed to through traffic, so you don't get anyone who's kind of just not supposed to be on campus roaming around campus. Campus is pretty, I won't say guarded. It's not like we've got outposts all over, but we do have the Mercer Police Department, which is right on the edge of campus, and they are actual Macon police officers. They're not, I don't mean to use this term in any kind of negative way, but they're not rent-a-cops or something like that. They're not like hired security force. They are actual Macon police officers who work for the university and kind of patrol the area and take care of situations that may arise. We also do have a text alert system. So anytime there might be anything going on either on campus or even kind of near campus, a text alert goes out to all students, faculty, and staff, alerting them to what's going on, where it is on campus, and kind of giving them that heads up that something is going on and is being taken care of. So I think we do a pretty good job. Additionally, I would say our Mercer police force is very accessible to students. So, if there were a situation where a student maybe was having to walk from the library across campus to their residence hall and it was after dark or super late at night, maybe they were working on a project and were there till 2 or 3 a.m. and they didn't want to have to walk across campus, they can absolutely text message our police department and they'll come shoot you over in a golf cart. They're very accessible and eager to help in any way that they can. So we definitely have protocols in place to do what we can.
Okay, and I know, thank you, Eve. I'm sorry, my daughter has questions for you also, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So, all right. And so the last question that I see in the chat is, how easy is it to find jobs on campus, summer jobs? Oh, I see 2 questions, summer jobs, that kind of thing. And do any of your dorms allow for pets? Those are the 2 questions I see.
Sure. So the easy one here is the pets. We don't allow pets that are not, you have to get special permission is what I'm trying to say. You have to get special permission, which we absolutely will do. So if you've got, what's the word I'm looking for? like a therapy animal, or you know, an animal that serves some sort of purpose in your life. You know, if you're epileptic and you have a dog that helps you alert you to an incoming seizure, or if you have anxiety and you have a pet rabbit that helps calm and soothe that, a seeing eye dog, any of those kind of things would absolutely be allowed in our residence halls. But if it's just, this is my family pet that I've always had and I'm sad to have to leave him at home, probably not going to allow that situation. You could always try, but it's very unlikely. As far as student work, tons of options. Tons and tons of options. We hire over 100 student staff in our admissions office. The university center hires tons of student staff, everything from lifeguards to people to work the reception at the gym, people to work the concessions at basketball games, that kind of thing. The library, we have 2 libraries on campus, our traditional undergraduate library, and we have a medical school library. They hire tons of student staff. We've got art galleries, so for students interested in fine art, there's student staff positions available for them working in the galleries and that kind of thing. So it really would depend upon you know, what a student might want to do for work. You know, do they want to give campus tours? Do they want to help students find periodicals in the library? Do they want to sit by the pool and wait for someone to need saving? It's kind of whatever they like, but there's lots of options.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They just said last question.
Yeah.
What is the school graduation rate? They asked if you know that, right?
Yeah, I've been nailing them. Let's see. Here we go. On the bottom of this, I know we just ended screen share. 91% of the graduating class of 2019 was employed or in grad school 6 months after earning a Mercer degree. So 91% is either employed or pursuing a graduate degree in some program, be that at Mercer or at another institution.
Very, very, very good. And so I want to say absolutely thank you so much to Mr. Walker here. I don't see any other questions popping up. And so I'm going to assume that means you guys have asked everything that you needed to ask. Yeah, so now they're saying thank you. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a real pleasure.
Walker, for your time. You are actually, we have been planning to kind of do this throughout the semester, but you guys were the first campus that we are doing this semester.
Cool.
Mercer became the first school that we got in touch with, and Ms. Wynn set up. And so you are our first kind of admissions professional that got a chance to talk to the students this year. And so we greatly, greatly appreciate your effort.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure to lead the charge. I'm going to throw, if I can, I'm going to throw 2 links in the chat box real quick. So if you'd like, please either copy and paste these somewhere that you can access them later, because I know once the meeting ends,
right,
the disappears. So this is the link for our virtual tour so that you can kind of go through and do a 3D tour, virtual tour of campus. The other link that I mentioned I wanted to put in there is the Find Your Counselor link. So if you're curious, you can also just search our website, but when given the opportunity to share it directly, I always like to do that. That way you can find out who your specific admissions counselor is. Like I said, I'm Fulton County, so you know if you're attending a school in Fulton, you're mine. But elsewhere it could be a different counselor. But I'll tell you, I love our team. We have a team of admissions staff that really, really, really are all like-minded in that we want to help students the best that we can, regardless of what their end decision might be. I tell every student I work with, if I can see you excited and confident about what your next step is, then I feel like I've done my job to the best of my ability, whether that be any institution. So whoever your counselor is, if it's me, I'm going to be super excited, but if not, you'll still be in good hands.
Unfortunately, we are Clayton County, so
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But
But still, man, it was absolutely great to
Yeah.
we have some students that we also work with that we are very familiar with that attend some of the some of the Fulton County schools, you know, Banneker Creekside,
Sure.
even a few that we've had at Riverwood. So we know some of those students as well, but we greatly appreciate you for all of the information today. Thank you so very much, Mr. Walker. I did copy those, so I'll make sure I send them out to the students.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm going to send you our digital materials as well. So I'll email those to you guys. That way, if anyone is interested in kind of those breakdowns, diversity breakdowns, campus expected outcomes, all that kind of stuff, I'll make sure to pass those along to you as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I hope y'all have a great rest of your week. And thank y'all again so much for giving me the time to talk to you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all have a good one.
All right. So, guys, thank y'all for being on and participating. I know some of y'all probably have things that you need to go and do, and that's absolutely fine. Ms. Wynn did send out the link. Ms. Wynn sent out the link to the survey. So make sure that you do the survey. If you are on the West Clayton side, make sure you don't forget to go on and sign in. Thank you, Shamey, for putting that out there. Don't forget to sign in. And for everything that we do, especially West Clayton, make sure you guys are signing in. I keep reminding y'all and saying it on all the events that we're doing right now. I'm going to stop doing that eventually. And Ms. Wynn is as well. Like, whatever ways we've told y'all to sign in at some point are to make sure your presence is being counted. Make sure y'all are handling that. Because when we get to the end of the semester and we start breaking down the money and deciding stipend checks and looking at participation, it's going to be the documentation that we go back and look at. So if that's the surveys or if that's the sign-in sheets, you need to make sure that your name is on there and that you have been counted so that when we look and say, okay, these are the students that have been participating all year, so that your name is in that number, right? So if y'all already did the hardest part. Y'all were here for the actual event. Make sure you do the easy part and go do the survey and sign in. So if nobody else has anything for me, we'll do what we have been doing. We'll probably save this and post it to the YouTube page. So if you want to go back and check for any information, you'll be able to do that. But other than that, if nobody has anything else for me, I'm going to cut the recording off and I will see you guys soon. But if y'all got any questions, I'll be here for a couple of seconds so y'all can ask anything that you want to ask.
Bye, Mr. Kenny.
Hi,
Bye, Mr. Kenny.
Who is that?
I was saying bye. I was leaving.
Bye. Hey. Bye.